In this WrestleTalk news, is MJF frustrated with AEW and leaning towards leaving? The reason WWE are happy with Roman Reigns having a part-time schedule, and so much more. So subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Now, there are a few more outspoken AEW stars than Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who is unafraid of airing his opinions and has often openly said he would consider all offers when his AEW tenure comes up. Now news comes in that MJF is reportedly frustrated with his current contract situation in AEW and is leaning towards not penning a new deal. It was reported back in March that Tony Khan and MJF had a heated discussion in which TK was upset about an interview MJF had with Ariel Helwani, where he aired a certain amount of dirty laundry about having interest from WWE, his contract status, and more. Now, Tony is said to not have wanted to set a precedent for grubby Grundies being waved around by AEW talent in interviews that hadn't been run by the AEW PR team first, whereas MJF was said to be already frustrated with his contract prior to the discussion with Khan. A second chat between the two was said to have run much smoother than the first, though. Though if a new report from Fightful Select is to be believed, it didn't win the heart or mind of MJF, who is said to now be leaning towards leaving AEW when his contract expires, according to sources. It was pointed out that those teases of going to WWE might not necessarily be just an in-character thing, as it is an option that MJF has heavily weighed, and although some progress has been made to secure his AEW future, with the possibility of a contract extension having been discussed, nothing has been set in writing. Now, talk of contract negotiations has also come up, but it's not clear whether this will be a full renegotiation of terms or just an extension of the current deal, because MJF has made no bones about courting the highest bidder when his time comes up in January 2024. And there are obviously reports that WWE is interested in the star and would make a play to sign him if the opportunity arises. So despite things getting heated between Tony Khan and MJF, the pair are still cool, it is said, and are said to have a good relationship behind the scenes. Former AEW TNT champion and top shagger Sammy Guevara also waded into the conversation, saying that he hopes MJF doesn't re-sign on Twitter. Sticking with AEW, a fan favourite match might be making a return soon, as Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer has said the company could be rigging up the old double cage again for another round of blood and guts. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Wristlock Littlefinger, Meltzer said that AEW are planning to revisit the match soon, and he speculated that it would include the Jericho Appreciation Society versus Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. The previous blood and guts match took place in May last year, as the Inner Circle took on MJF and the Pinnacle, with Jez being thrown off the top of the cage through some very cardboard looking bit of steel floor. It was a good moment. The Blood and Guts concept was originally slated to see the Inner Circle take on the Elite back in 2020, but plans were halted due to the whole, pandemic thing kicking off. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there was this pandemic thing got in the way of a lot of stuff. Before we crack on with the rest of the video, we just need to thank the British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr. and LIW's American Muscle, Tyler Gamola, for their support on Patreon. Now, not content with making 4 shows a week and having absorbed an entire other promotion and all of its champions, Tony Khan's wrestling absorption machine AEW is always looking for new ways to expand, like the Blob that ate everything. Recently, Meltzer said that the company had Trios Championships made, and Tony Khan has now confirmed that fact. Speaking to TSN, TK teased that the Trios belts could be on their way into the company very soon, saying, "I saw Dave reported it and nobody's asked me on the record yet, but it is truthful that I have made the belts. I made them a long time ago, to be honest with you. They've never been seen and I did have them made. I do have more championship belts in my possession that have never been unveiled that anybody might suspect. The TBS Championship was in my office for months at the shows before anybody knew it was going to be unveiled, for example, recently." Now, many are speculating that Tony is waiting for Kenny Omega to return before the belts are introduced to AEW television so that the cleaner can team with the Bucks and go after the titles. The introduction of the Trios belts would be the 6th official title in AEW, joining the World Championship, Women's World Championship, TNT, TBS, and Tag Team Championships. But let's hop the old fence now and talk some WWE, who have had some shake-ups recently, as a few stars have returned to their women's roster and upset the old status quo. Because Asuka returned at the end of April and confronted Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss returned this week, Sonya Deville was depowered and now has to wrestle like the rest of the proles, and Lacey Evans moved to Raw despite being teased for a run on SmackDown. In Evans' case, despite having been teased as a babyface on SmackDown, she will reportedly be a heel on Raw going forward, and that fact has seemingly been confirmed by an internal report from WWE gathered by PW Insider, who have put together a full list of women's roster babyfaces and heels as viewed by WWE. On the Goody Two Shoes side of things, we have Bianca Belair with top billing, then Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Asuka, and finally Dana Brooke. Over on the dark side, Becky Lynch takes the top spot, followed by Rhea Ripley, Lacey Evans, Carmella, Zelina Vega, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, and Tamina. Sonya Deville, weirdly, is not listed as part of the Raw roster at all, despite having lost her authority figure role and resting on the show, so she might be going to SmackDown. They might just leave it a while before they decide where she actually belongs. Other big WWE news this week suggested that Roman Reigns will be moving to a part-time schedule, allowing him to potentially pursue a career in acting and definitely giving him more time to spend with his family. Dave Meltzer already noted this week that Roman would be doing more shows than Lesnar, but historically, that's a really low bar to sail over. As for WWE though, I think we can all agree that having a part-time champion is not the ideal, but Meltzer said that WWE were convinced to go for the reported changes to Roman's contract because of the success of night one of WrestleMania 38. Meltzer said it helped the company to see that they don't necessarily need the top men's titles to be heavily featured. The company also reportedly doesn't feel an urgency to book the champion on pay-per-view events either, which is why Roman is able to sit out Hell in a Cell this year, because the money from the Peacock deal is guaranteed regardless of the card. But what if everyone just cancels their Peacock? Damn weird. This week in WWE also saw Rhea Ripley join Edge and Damian Priest's Purple Reign as the Judgment Day. A new report from PW Insider is suggesting that the faction may have room for one more though, with WWE heavily considering a fourth member for the group. Now, it was previously noted that former NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa had been under consideration for a spot along with Ripley, but there's no word if those talks are still ongoing or whether the company has just moved on to another name. Tommaso Ciampa has moved on to just one name quite recently. What do you think? Who would you like to see join the group if you could pick anyone? Anyone alive? I'm going with Keanu Reeves, but as John Constantine. That's who I want to join the group. In what I think can safely be described as a crazy year for WWE so far, it's kind of hard to keep track of all the things that have happened, to be honest. Like, I just remembered this morning that Shane McMahon was fired by his dad's company for trying to book the entire Royal Rumble around himself. You little Roy. All of this put the kibosh on big plans for Shane at Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 38, including a reported WWE Championship match against Seth Rollins. A lull. Now, one of the weirdest stories from backstage about the Rumble is that Shane's entry number, 29, accidentally got switched with hometown hero Randy Orton, who was supposed to be coming in at 30, which Orton has now just confirmed in a video for BT Sport. In the vid, Orton and Riddle are playing a game where they answer questions about each other, including guessing the Royal Rumble entry numbers of their tag team partner. Now, Riddle said he knows what number Orton was supposed to be in at, to which Randy responds, "Right. Shane McMahon got axed after that. Sorry Shane, love you man." Then confirms that he was supposed to be number 30 but ended up at 29. Cross the Viper, you get the fangs. I cannot tell you how much money I would just pay to watch those booking meetings with Shane McMahon, especially if Armando Iannucci was directing them. It's got to be like the thick of it. In other news, NXT is reportedly set to resume live events in June, and that comes per John Pollock of Post Wrestling, who says that NXT will be hosting live events in Florida starting next month. The last NXT live events were in March 2020 in Detroit and then Orlando because of the whole pandemic thing that I mentioned earlier that you just heard about. WWE has yet to confirm the news that NXT will be returning to live events though, but probably. And finally, good news for the WWE 2K franchise, as a former senior game designer is said to be returning to the development team. Mike Straw of Sports Gamers Online is reporting that Brian Williams, the former senior game designer who previously worked closely crafting the Creative Suite, the best bit of all WWE games, is returning to 2K or may have already joined. But the weird thing about this news is there's been no announcement of a follow-up to WWE 2K22, even though the game seems to have put the series back on track after the absolute nightmare horror show that was WWE 2K20. Why is Becky Lynch's face not inside her face?
Well, did you see what Kevin Feige said? He said something about he's not really fussed about leaks and things like that because it can almost make the cinema-going experience even better.
You got to go and
There was
see
something
that
about the moment in Spider-Man with where the cinema erupted because they were given what they wanted. It's like the opposite of Vince McMahon and WWE. It's just like, I know what you want, you're not going to get it.
Not going to get it.